What is it like being a Jamaican in Wales? Hi, I'm Xavier Murphy, the founder of Jamaicans.com, and today I talk to Carlene, a Jamaican living in Wales. Hi, Carlene. How are you?
I'm okay. Hi, Xavier. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and let's get right into it. Which
Sure.
part of Jamaica are you from?
Well, I am from a little district in Clarendon named Matinee, and that's between Frankfield and Thompson Town or Smithville. So I went to Edwin Allen High.
Okay. No, I don't know what it is, but I gotta say this based on the videos I've been doing, and I said this in the last one. Clarendon people seem like the most adventurous. The majority of people I've had this conversation with are from Clarendon. You know,
Really?
yes. No, you're from Frankfield, so you must know the little town that my mother is from, which is Tweedside.
Oh, yes, that's going to Spaldings and
Yes,
Reaches and all those sides and Grantham.
yes, yes, yes. I'm telling you, a small world. And when you said Frankfield, I said she must know because not a lot of people know Tweedside. But if you know
No, no.
Frankfield,
And my uncle lives in Reaches, so and I usually have family lives in Banana Ground. So
okay.
yeah.
And people, yes, there is a place called Banana Ground, and there is a Banana Ground also is a farm with banana.
Yes.
so so tell us a story of how you got to Wales.
Well, it's an interesting one because I didn't know of Wales or where I am in Swansea, but at the time I was at Coventry University. So first I was in London where I did my PhD in wireless sensor, and then I got a academia job in Coventry, and I was on fixed term contract. And then when this position comes, you keep applying, and you're qualified, but you keep not being the one selected, and then you will
Mm,
ask information why, and it doesn't adds up. If my TV
mm,
is always going on top, then I should get one of those full time, because you know how fixed term is. The contract may run out and oh, we're not going to renew. So I'm a person who don't care where in the world I am. Wherever I'm going, it's just me and my daughter. I came to the UK twice to study master's PhD, and I never left her behind. She's always with me. So it doesn't care where I will go. So I just start sending out applications to the point where when I got an interview for Swansea, I'm like, when did I apply for that job? And the interesting thing about coming um, was fascinating when I was coming, because on the train I was seeing all this beautiful scenery and sheeps and countryside, because I didn't know where I was going. I mean, I got here in the night, and then the following morning after the interview, when they told me of the networking labs and all of that, what really grabs me was looking through the window, and what I'm seeing is the beauty of the blue sea, which is connected to the Atlantic Ocean. And I'm like, wow, not knowing I would get this job.
so a job brought you to Wales.
Yes, I didn't know.
So
The only thing I knew about Wales then was DVLA Swansea. You know, when you get your driving, anything for driving, it says DVLA Swansea. That's all I knew about.
so let me ask you, how different is Wales from I don't UK, even though Wales is a part of the whole UK, but it is Wales and it's not Britain or You know what I'm saying? How different
Let me
was it?
give you a little history on that, because no matter how I correct a Jamaican, the first thing is, how is England? I'm not in England. Yeah, so when how is England? They can't differentiate, and I keep telling the story that UK is United Kingdom is made up of four countries: England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So I'm in Wales, not England, which is one of the countries that makes up United Kingdom. But when it comes to Britain, it's Britain is made up of Scotland is the country that forms the United Kingdom.
Right.
If Scotland should remove, then there would be no United Kingdom. Because that's when that's
Yeah, I'll be honest. I'm one of those that when I think UK, I automatically think, just Britain. And as I've learned through the years and even this series, I'm enlightened by countries and regions, knowing that there are differences,
yeah.
in the people, in the languages, and so forth. So thank you for at least pointing that out again to myself and all the viewers.
And don't make a mistake and call a Welsh in English. That's like the worst.
Yeah, just like how sometimes, I know Jamaicans want to be identified as Jamaican, so I can imagine. Now, you mentioned the people, and you said they're Welsh. What are the Welsh people like?
Oh, m- I've never met people who are so sociable and down to earth. I think that is the reason why I'm here. Let me use a scenario. If you're in England, well, London, which I'm used to, and Coventry, everyone just pass you, no one cares. When I came to Wales, um, I came into a culture shock where everyone walk by, they don't need to know you. Good morning, good afternoon, everything from the little one to the adult. And I'm like, that is how it was in Jamaica in the 70s. That is, I didn't knew that that kind of situation still exists. And I can give you probably two or three more scenario why being here in Swansea, I probably get comfortable. The
Mm-hmm.
first time I came um to move here, you got to sort out all these things, council tax, you name it. So I went into the city center trying to find the civic center. And just by looking at me, I'm lost. And then two little old couple came up to me and said, May I help you? Are you okay?" And I was shocked. And I said, "I'm looking for the civic center." And the two couple, I don't know where they were going. They just said, "Follow me." And they turned back and
Wow.
showed me where the
So they,
civic center is.
they stopped
Um,
what they were doing and just took you over to where you needed to go.
Yes, and another one is when I went into Tesco to do shopping, and the trolley, I saw this little young, probably teenager. He ran after me and said, you dropped something," and I checked. I had everything. I'm like, "No, I'm okay." And he handed me the pound coin and said, "You dropped this." And I'm like, "Oh, it fell from the trolley." And instead of just taking it and put it in his pocket, he ran after me and he gave it to me. And I was like, am I in a different world?
Oh, amazing.
And the third one is I feel safe where I am. I remember had all the shopping and stuff in the boot of my car, what we call it again in Jamaica. I got so used to boot now, the trunk of our car. And instead of closing the car, apparently I pressed the boot on the key, and so it went open, and my boot was open through the entire night. And it's the following day when I went outside, I noticed, and everything was intact. Nothing was removed, except that if
Wow.
it had rained, I would be in big trouble.
So I'm going to jump a little bit on the people to a topic of, dating. All right. I believe in our back conversation, you're a single woman. And so, what is the dating scene like there in Wales? And how do the men approach, the women there?
Um, that that's kind of a hard one. And when my daughter joins, she probably can give more on that.
Well,
But what?
well, listen, Donique, come on in. I know she's in the background there because she was helping with some of the technical stuff here. So come on in. Hey, how are you?
I'm good.
So, what is the dating scene like there in Wales? What would you say? How do men approach the women?
I think with Welshmen, they like anything that's different. That's what I've, from my experience, and they're very straightforward with how they are. They do
Okay.
try their they do try their best to approach you. Doesn't matter how, or embarrass themselves to approach you. In my case, they have been I've been in a cereal aisle, like my partner. I met him in a cereal aisle, what paced up and down, and he literally just tracked me down, and he's like, okay, I'm not leaving until you give me a number. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't, I've got 3 dates this week, try to, calm down. And you know what he said? At the time, he was like, okay, when is these dates? I said, I've got one on Thursday, one on Friday, and one on Saturday. And he said, okay, fine. For the next 2 days, I'll take you on a date. And, and that's and then months later, here we are. So they're very kind of straightforward. They like things that are different, and they're very, I would say, what I've noticed with Welshmen, they're very clingy type of people. They're very loving. Don't get me wrong, but they're very clingy. And they don't like
Okay.
being too far away from the person, especially if you're from a different country. There's something they're obsessed with tropical people. That's what I've been told. So
Okay.
yeah.
So when they find out that you're Jamaican, and what do they say tropical, but what else usually comes up?
Oh, jerk chicken, man, cool runnings. That's the first two things that always come out with jerk chicken and cool runnings, and Bob Marley and Usain Bolt. That's it. That's what they know.
All right. Well, Donique, thanks. I know you are a little shy, but thank you for jumping in,
No problem.
and feel free if you hear anything that you want to comment on to jump back in at any time.
No problem.
Yeah, I think she's totally right. Because at work for myself, I haven't dated any Welsh person, but at work, I remember I'm the only female on the fifth floor, and maybe I'm the bossy type. I don't know. Well, my life is like this. I'm always like the only female because of my career in most cases,
Okay.
and
Hmm.
so maybe I'm a bit spoiled. And but the male, they always like, um, if one another male is trying to negate what I'm saying, they all will bombard and say, listen to the female, you know?
So, so, Carlene, when you tell the folks there and they learn that you are Jamaican, what are the typical questions you get and comments and so on?
Oh, similar to Donny, but they always Bob Marley would most time come in play because according to them, Bob Marley father was a Welsh. I don't know how they come to that terms, and Welsh people can sing very well, so that confirmed to them that Bob Marley father was from here, from Wales. But
So So and that is interesting because yes, it is true. And so I guess it's a badge of honor for the Welsh people to say we have a part in Bob Marley.
Yes, yes, they're very proud of that. Very overall, I don't know their Swansea, where I am in Wales, which is southwest. When I just came here, it was difficult to see many like blacks, but now the population has grown a bit.
Okay. Jamaicans, more Jamaicans are there too, or
When I came, I initially there were Jamaicans, but I didn't knew of them. But I got an email from a student who wanted to meet me in my office, and when he came, he had the same surname. And when he came to the office and he introduced himself, and he said, "I'm a Jamaican. I went to Virtech." I said, "Oh, nice to meet you. I was trying to find a Jamaican," and then he took me to Nice to a Jamaican restaurant, Jamaican Jill. So
okay,
I met Bernie. And then he took me again to another Jamaican. Her name is Sharon. And she now has Marley Vibes, a Jamaican restaurant here in Swansea.
okay,
She opened that recently. So that's how I got to know a few Jamaicans.
okay. Well, you touched on the next topic I was going into, which is food.
Food.
What
Ooh.
is the Welsh food like? And do you have a favorite Welsh food that you would recommend?
Well, I know the Welsh has their food that they call cowl, but I think probably Donique had it before, not me. What they're passionate about is their
But stop
Welsh.
for a minute. What is cowl?
Um, it's like a stew with vegetable roots and lamb. Oh, lamb. You need to get back to about lamb. Yeah, and lamb. So
Okay. And you haven't tried it, you said.
I can't remember trying it, but I their Welsh cakes are
Okay.
what they go crazy. And in Swansea, it's about Welsh cakes and Joe's ice cream. It's if you come to Swansea, you
Yeah.
can't leave Swansea without having Joe's ice cream. And if you're in Wales, you must have the Welsh cake. And again, if you come to Swansea, you got to go to Mumbles.
Okay. Well, I'm going before we get on to what mumbles is, because that sounds interesting. You says Joe's ice cream. Now, does Joe's ice cream have anything on Devon House ice cream?
Donique, you want
Because
to come and respond to that? It's very
you
creamy.
never had no, Carlene, you never had Devon House.
Oh, Devon Stout is my favorite.
Okay, so
Uh,
you had Devon House ice cream then. So I'm saying
yeah,
is
but it's the
Joe's
texture
is
that makes the difference. The Joe's ice cream have this smooth, creamy texture that it's only made from the Welsh cows, the milk from the Welsh cow. So it has that, it's
okay.
a texture that makes it unique.
All right, all right. We leave that. Now, Mumble, you're saying about Mumble.
Mumbles.
Is that a restaurant, food place, or is it like a location of
It's a
travel
location,
that
it's a place, it's booming in the summer. It's for me, I like to ride from the library in Swansea during spring, summertime, my most unique time, and cycle all the way to Mumbles. So when you ride to Mumbles, it's booming. You have the ice cream places, you have the walk path. It, it's pretty. That's all I can say. You have the cliff walk. Um, so many things about Mumbles, but um saying Mumbles, if someone know Swansea, they would say, yes,
right?
you know Swansea. You've been there.
And do they have any other historic, some of these locations, they have some stone monuments and some of these other things. Have you toured any of these historic places there that you would recommend if somebody was to visit?
Oh, yes. There are many. Castles are one of them. Swansea alone has two castles. Wales is known for their national park. So they have
Okay.
three main national parks. I think the Brecon is one, Pembrokeshire, and Snowdonia, where you find the tallest mountain. So, but I'm
Okay.
not been to North Wales as yet, but Donique did. So whatever I'm
So
talking
Danny,
about,
come back. Bring back this. Come back into this, Danny. Come back into this. Come back into this. Tell us. It look like mommy, you working, and it look like Donique is an adventurer here that can tell us about some of the little places, nooks and cranny, and places we must go look at.
no, that's for North Wales, but West Wales, I can fill you with a lot more. But go ahead, Donique, say about North Wales.
What about North Wales?
About Snowdonia. You've been there. I've never
I've
been
been to
there.
North Wales. I've been
If you
to,
recommend what places you'd recommend, for a visit. If somebody was coming in and you say you have to go see this, what would that be?
well, what Mommy should have mentioned first is like there's a difference between North Wales and South Wales. And there's also a different because I don't know if she explained about the language. So Welsh is something that they're proud of speaking in the language. So we do try to learn as much as we can in their language because they're trying to make it a comeback, if that's the best word to say. And North Wales is mainly Welsh speaking. So when I went there, most of the people did not speak English; they spoke Welsh. And the other thing I've noticed as well when I'm going there that the South Wales Welsh is different to North Wales Welsh. The way they introduce each other, the way they speak is totally different. The accent is different. So that was a barrier for me. But I know in North Wales they have you have Snowdon where you could go hiking. But they have the fastest zip lining in North Wales. I think it goes up to like 100 miles per hour in the world. So that is one
Oh,
place that's someone.
what? Wait. That's some crazy business. Did you do it?
I
Did
didn't
you
get this
do it?
because of COVID. COVID ruined that for me, but it is a must for me this year. It will happen. I'm not taking no for an answer. Because I was looking forward because it goes over. I think it's 500 meters above, and it goes over. I think it's a blue lake, and yeah, it go up to 100 miles per hour, and I'm like yes, and then COVID was like no.
That don't sound like something you're going to hear me doing.
But other
And
than that,
Carlene have that look on her face. She has said, take for myself. Man, take for
no.
myself.
No, I'm not going. No, I'm no more scary ride. She took me on one in Paris. No ways. No, 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 no. But don't worry. If you come to Wales, Swansea, there are lots to do. Okay, let me tell you a
I
bit
think we'd
about
say south. I think we'd
South
say southwest.
Well,
Southwest Wales. Is you have the better of two worlds. You have the coastline and you have the nature, and that's why I'm in Swansea. So in the summer and it's booming, you have the right around the coast. You can walk around Wales because they have walk path
Yeah,
and they are really maintained. Mean they put care into them, so you can walk around the entire Wales. There's walk along
a
the
walk
coast,
path. Yeah,
along the coast, and so you have that. You have what is called Rossley. So if you come to Wales, you must go to Rossley. And it's a beautiful walk, looking across the Atlantic Ocean. And if you're brave, you can just truck off in it and just keep going. And once the whatever don't heat you, get right to somewhere in the US. Um,
but
and
let
they
me
have
ask.
Sandy Beach. The beaches I'm talking about is Sandy Beach. Goa was the top three. I think last year with beaches here in the UK, proper sandy beaches, as if you were in Jamaica and you have those long stretch of beaches, depends on which one you. I like Oxridge Bay. It
Okay.
reminds me of the long stretch of beaches in Negril. And
Right.
then
Seven
you
Mile.
have the nature path where you can go walking and hiking. And just one more note, I am here since 21st of December 2012.
Yeah.
And then one thing I found out, I got so comfortable, as I said, the people and everything, and only to find out that there's a thing about Swansea. It's known as the graveyard of ambition, meaning that every time persons move or come to Swansea, they never leave.
Oh,
That's true.
okay.
I'm still here.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
You all mentioned some items here in terms of language and cultural difference between South Wales
Yes.
and North Wales,
Mm-hmm.
and how it sounds like it's a wide. Is it like a really wide gap? Because you're saying, man, they don't understand, this and so on.
Yes, well, when South Wales, you have to think about South Wales people. English main is the main language. And so it's different. So you have they call it the valleys. So from Swansea going towards like Newport area, that's like going towards England, they don't really speak a lot of Welsh. But when you think about going to West Wales, so going from past Swansea, going from Carmarthen to like no, it's Llanelli. Going from Carmarthen to like the western side of Wales, like Pembrokeshire and stuff like that, they speak Welsh. So you have like for example, people from Swansea going into Carmarthen, going to the county of Carmarthenshire, they're like, oh, look at these people that don't want to learn our language. So they're kind of having that. I don't understand why you're Welsh and don't know your language. So you have that kind
Ah,
of thing going on. Yeah.
so it's almost like a cultural thing where they said you are Welsh, but
Yeah.
you're not learning your Welsh
Yes.
culture.
Yes. Yes.
I
And they are very. What's the best word? What's the word? They are very patriotic.
Yeah, they're
They're
very
one of the most patriotic set of people I've ever met in my life.
Man.
I thought Jamaicans were patriotic.
and Xavier, once you leave England, you know you're in Wales because you start seeing everything having two languages. But how they do it, the Welsh is first and the English is second. And if you get an email from my work email, you will notice it gives you the Welsh first and then the English. So like I'm in Swansea. If you're speaking to a Welsh person, they would not say Swansea, they would say Abertawe because that's it in Welsh, and they have
Okay.
more letters. So LL
Is
is your Donique telling you,
So
DD give you the TH
yeah.
sound, and so
so
forth.
so, so the question is now, from 1 to 10, Carlene, how is your Welsh? From 10 being the highest.
0.
I
And
can
then
understand probably
Donique,
one.
Donique from 1 to 10.
1. I'm just starting to learn. I'm just starting to learn because the letters, as I said, when you come here, I remember when I came here and I saw certain names, I was just like, what is this name? Like for example, Fiona. How would you spell Fiona? Fiona, normal. It's double
Yes.
Fiona. So I'm like, Fiona? Why is it Fiona? But because F on its own is
Give you a V
V,
sound.
is a V sound. Sometimes you see one F, it's V. When you see double F, it makes that F sound, or double A. If you have names with double L in, and I'm like, and I'm like, what?
Oh
What
my
is this? When I first saw the name of police on the car, I'm like, he'd head Lou and it's Headley, and I'm like,
So is Welsh the official language, or both English and Welsh are the official languages?
They want to make
Welsh
Welsh back
back,
to the
yeah,
official language because they only South Wales really English is their official language, and if you speak to any Welsh in this side, they will tell you that it's the English beat their foreparents to speak English because
From back in the days.
from back in the
Yeah.
days.
Right. Right.
But
Okay.
but
Yeah.
in North Wales, it's like I went there for the first time over the Christmas, and I went to like a very small, literally a tiny village, literally on the edge of Wales. Like if the wind blow you a bit too far, you fly off into the Atlantic Ocean, and like everyone there spoke Welsh. Like no one spoke in English. Doesn't exist. It's just obviously because the tourist area that they actually speak English. Other than that, there was no word of it. Like I was there and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to come back to the language thing in a few, but the question I now have is cost of living. What is it like there? And if you can give an example of, a medium restaurant and you buy a meal there, what would that cost be? And US dollars if you can, because I think that is kind of universal. Or if you want to use the Wales.
Think about the food. I can speak about like rent or anything like that because when I was in London, what I was paying for just a bed sit. When I came to Wales, I was living in a two-bedroom house, everything and newly built, and I was paying far less than what I was paying for a bed sit in London. So I'm wondering why most
Wait. What's a bed sit? It sounds like you just catch
That's like a
a
tiny.
bed sit. Sound like you just catch on somebody bed and you get.
Call it that. Call it that. Call it that. I'll
just a little room
Yeah.
that you share.
That I definitely think because like if I look at like where my dad lives in London and what he pays per month compared to what I pay, he pays more than 3 times what I'd pay for the same size or bigger house than he staying in London.
Oh wow!
Easily, yeah.
And the average meal, what would the cost be in a medium restaurant, not a high end restaurant?
We have the same restaurants pretty much in England. So from Wales and the same places, the same food, pretty much. So I would say, you say about 5.
Yeah, the most expensive food, if not talking fine dining, would be like our Jamaican food.
No, so I would say Jamaican food here would be expensive, and so Jamaican food in Wales is definitely expensive. So, like if for example you get a food, I would say this is just rough example. Say $10, you probably get a good decent oxtail and rice and peas. In Wales,
Oxtail, remember no, oxtail is now
expensive.
It's now very expensive, and
Yes.
them put that. Mrs. Some people put braised oxtail to make it sound exquisite, and the price double up. So I mean, oxtail may not be the right example. Maybe the jerk chicken.
Even that, so about £8. Say for example, so I'm trying to think of it in dollars. So yes, about $10. Yeah, roughly.
Okay, all right.
In Wales now, it would be more expensive. Reasonably, we don't have the amount of food access to food you have in English. You won't like. Have you ever seen green banana here?
No.
So because they have to get it from a further distance, so food here in terms of if you want Caribbean food will be more expensive. So just like hair products, like I will probably pay double what I'll pay for hair products in England. Is way expensive because there's no competition either. So everything here in Swansea is expensive. I think it gets cheap as you go in like Cardiff, where you have a bigger Jamaican community there.
But if it's lamb or so, it's not too bad.
No, lamb. I think in Wales you have 10 million sheep in Wales, and in comparison to 3 million people.
So it's roughly 10 to 3 basically.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the curry goat, well, not curry goat, curry lamb run.
Yeah.
Yeah, the curry lamb thing is good. So are there any customs that when you moved to Wales you found that were very interesting? And what do I mean by that? It could be, a wedding custom. It could be how people greet each other. It could be during a holiday season. This is how they celebrate this or a specific celebration that they have.
No, to be fair, the first time I've been to a pub is being here because like I currently I'm the chair of IET, and most times the members would say, let's meet for the meeting in the pub. Pub is everything to them.
Well, at the moment, what I find out now, it's rugby. That's their thing. And I think as we speak, England and Wales is speaking. So I am assuming the entire Wales right now is in a pub. They take rugby very, very. When I say they take rugby very seriously. I don't think anybody is at home at the moment. And even if they're at home, they probably bring the pub to their house at the current moment.
All right.
That's
music. Music. What is the dominant music that you will hear? I know people don't really listen to radio per se. Everything is online and streamed. But do you hear any reggae? Is there something?
Bob Marley, Sean Paul, everybody wants to be. When it comes to music, it's like everyone wants to be like a Jamaican, and you hear a lot of some American.
It's mainly hip hop and R&B.
Yeah,
they don't actually have I think now you're starting to have a more Welsh singers trying to come out, and it's in Welsh, not actually English. So, but they don't have like a genre where they say, oh, this is it for Welsh. They're very open to the other culture, to be honest.
They play a lot of Bob Marley. I can tell you, they play a lot of Bob Marley here.
Well, they're claiming him, so hey. Let me ask you, what do you absolutely, and I think you kind of went into it, Carlene. So Donique, you can jump in, but what do you absolutely love to do in Wales? Your perfect day or your perfect weekend or what's that?
For me, my perfect thing is put the cycle in the car and go into the city center and cycle from the civic center all the way to Mumbles and just admiring. It's like when I'm doing that, it's like the world. It's just because you're just seeing the beach and the sea, and you're just riding as you go along, and to your right you're seeing the nature, the hills, the beauty that way, and the beach and the sea that way, and the breeze, and you just feel like there's no care in the world, and you just cycle, and it's that's it for me. I just like that.
All right. Donique, what is it for you?
For me, I actually just like going for walks. The most time I go, because obviously we have the coastal path, so it doesn't matter as long as I'm not in Central Wales. Central Wales, they still you have the trees and stuff like that. But as long as you're close to a coast in Wales, there's always like a walk path, and I like it because they have like this. I like sea breeze. I like sea breeze. Yes, I always go like on coastal one. But for me, I'm more of a car enthusiast, so I love cars and anything racing, anything like that. But it's mainly walks.
All right. Well, ladies, I really appreciate the time you spent. We're winding down, and here is the question. It's a scenario, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You land in Jamaica. You get off the plane. What is that first thing you're doing? I will start with you, Carlene.
Patty and cocoa bread.
Yes.
So you're saying the same thing. Both of you saying that's the same.
Taste the patty and cocoa bread.
I miss that. And so then I go to Devon House, of course, to get the Devon Stout.
So, folks, you know what to bring when you go into Wales. You have to bring them their patty and a tasty. It's a tasty and a patty and cocoa bread.
Yes. I'll be like, after we finish tasting, you go Island Grill because we don't have that here, and then you go KFC and get the barbecue chicken because we don't have that here either. So, yeah. food.
Quite the barbecue is quite popular, the KFC barbecue, man. So here is how I typically end, and I told you all I was going to come back to language. How do you say goodbye in Welsh? So teach me and the audience. And I don't want the formal way, you know, I want the informal way, like we say little more, or ketchup on a straw.
Hwyl fawr or hwyl
Hwyl?
fawr.
Hwyl fawr?
So now remember the F I was telling you about, FA, so it's
Right.
FAWR, but the F is a V. So hwyl fawr. So yeah. Or if it's good night, nosta.
Okay.
So for us it's
Let me try hwyl fawr.
Hwyl fawr, yes. Or hwyl.
Not too bad.
Yeah, not too bad. You're better than mom.
Ladies, hwyl fawr. Show some love now. Hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss a video.